Hello, Fiedelbogen here. To my fellow workers in the vineyard, worldwide, greetings. This is part 2 of Feminism Poisons Women, a political statement. Part 1 was given in the previous video, and this is linked in the low bar of the present video, along with a link to the text of the entire article. To begin, feminism is an earthly power whose legitimacy we are entitled to question, and if we find it detrimental, we are entitled to seek remedy. That said, we do seek, by both direct and indirect methods, to undo feminism as a normative cultural mythology. The real question is not whether all feminists are a certain way, but whether all feminism is a certain way. That is a subtle distinction, but critically important because feminism's prevailing tendency takes a form which can be broadly mapped and modeled. That said, we do not hesitate to paint all of feminism with a broad brush and to characterize it as, at best, an advocacy movement for the sole benefit of women, and at worst, a hate movement driven by disaffection toward the male sex. We understand feminism as an endlessly growing social organism, distributed across the culture and across all points on the political spectrum. This organism draws its lifeblood from many quarters, and it is difficult to distinguish feminism proper from everything which upholds it or sustains it. That is, we cannot always pinpoint where feminism ends and the rest of the world begins. However, if we bear in mind that feminism is fed by a cultural supply chain, we will understand that this chain may be interrupted to good effect when we apply the necessary actions to the necessary links. In this pragmatic manner, feminism may finally be isolated as a target of operations. The non-feminist revolution is a primordial pushback against feminism, a force of nature which cannot be suppressed. However, the exact form this revolution eventually takes will be either chaotically reactive or politically conscious. That is up to us. One can hope that it will be politically conscious, for this will minimize unpleasant developments and efficiently pave the road to a post-feminist future. That is why we have conceived the counter-feminist project, to make the non-feminist revolution politically conscious. The project is multifaceted, socially distributed, and holistic, for we have concluded that a social organism, such as feminism, must be countered by another social organism that works to block it or neutralize it. Consider the celebrated fable of the 6 blind men and the elephant. Feminism, to be sure, is much like the elephant, a collection of parts that can't be isolated from each other lest we miss knowing what we are dealing with. But we are nothing like those blind men. We may specialize in different parts of the elephant, but our sight is keen, and we know how the beast looks from every direction. So, the counter-feminist social organism is distributed exactly as the task requires. Different operators in different sectors will apply the necessary actions, informing each other continually of developments and adjusting the plan as contingencies arise. The prime directive of our voluntary association, ever and always, is to sap the feminist power structure by drilling into points where that structure is weakly shielded. The nameless feeling that something is wrong has been growing for many years, We have searched hard for answers. We have studied deeply. We have conversed far into the night. The shape of the problem has yielded gradually to our analysis, and we have released our knowledge by stages to the world. Feminism is the name that we give to the problem. We have taken control of that word and what it means because those who formerly controlled it have tried to propagate a myth. Our effort is to thwart this and to show the world something different. In the course of our work, we have discovered a pair of social taboos which hold the world in an iron grip, and we have seen that the problem is deeply rooted in these taboos. First, the taboo against naming feminism as a pernicious force in human affairs. Second, the taboo against treating male existence as a thing of inherent value. Counter-feminist action is based on a systematic and escalating violation of these taboos, and networks of groups and individuals will carry out the project in a variety of innovative ways. We should note in passing that the distinction between attacking feminism and helping men is artificial. Both activities violate the two taboos. Both weaken the feminist power structure, and both are vital to the advancement of the counter-feminist project. The difference is one of focus or specialization, and you may choose either option as your talent inclines you. Vanguard practitioners have no quarrel with each other's specializations. The counter-feminist project, as simply as we can put it, is a cultural insurgency from all quarters. We would introduce novel elements into the public discourse, and by so doing, guide that discourse in a radically different manner. We aim not to establish universal belief in a set of ideas, but to establish those ideas as an overshadowing landmark in the mental landscape. You may love it or hate it, but you can't ignore it. It colors your world and changes everything. The Counter-Feminist Project is a three-pronged initiative that aims to do the following. First, to confirm a working definition of feminism within the non-feminist community. This will establish a focal vision for coordinated operations. It will also prevent the operators from working at cross purposes. Second, to decenter and disestablish the myth of feminism by building a counter-feminist culture of critique that pervades every corner of society. This will include both a serious intellectual auditing of all feminist claims and theories and a mainstream growth of mockery and witticism at feminism's expense. It will also include an effort to catalog the many forms of feminist aggression and microaggression in the greatest possible detail, so as to make these publicly known and available for correction. Third, to promote conventional issues-based activism, such as lawsuits, lobbying, standing for public office, letter campaigns, street demonstrations, and pro-male good works in the community. We recognize that such activities will generate publicity, attract members, and weaken the feminist power structure in general. Hence, we deem them good. Here we have depicted the counter-feminist project in broad strokes. We wish to make commonly known that such a project is underway and to enlist all manner of people from everywhere on earth as co-workers. The present statement is cast upon the world like a net which gathers affinitized minds. Anybody of any nation, occupation, or station in life can settle into any corner of the project as we have sketched it and commence work. The nature of their involvement is limited only by their imagination. The project, indeed, has been going on for years, and keen observers will know that the community of affinitized minds is growing quickly. In the past, this growth has been intellectually chaotic and politically inefficient, so the present task is to remedy that. However, we trust the accumulated indraft of past outreach efforts to keep pulling in new people. Furthermore, we assume that a baseline of understanding has been established. After all, the conversations have long been happening, and the word has gotten out. So, we address present remarks to those who are either up to speed or able to get there quickly. We seek such people, intellectual self-starters who can take a hint, see the lay of the land, govern their tongues, and needn't be told twice. Critique of feminism will become a sort of cottage industry. Anybody of any sophistication may have a go at this, but only high-level thinkers and strategizers will compose the vanguard. If you are of the latter, then do drop by. We will, of course, need popularizers, people who can translate the message into a mass idiom, or into the idiom of various cultures, subcultures, and communities of every kind. In time, the counter-feminist project will merge with the ambient of the culture and not be recognizable as the product of any singular group or movement. This will end feminism's control of the cultural narrative. Having been shouldered aside by an upstart counterculture, feminism will become merely another competitor in the marketplace of ideas. It will no longer be privileged, but rather jostled with the rest of the throng and expected to take its lumps. That day, which we so fondly anticipate, has not arrived quite yet. But to look on the bright side, it is getting closer. We who have been in the game for a good long time can attest to this. The last 2 or 3 years have brought dramatic changes, and there is no question that the defenders of the feminist faith are digging in for a fight. They belatedly realize that a threat to their power has arisen, and the smell of panic, mingled with false bravado, is wafting from their side of the field. They are up to their usual tricks and lies, but they are doubling the dosage. Apparently, they think they can get out of trouble by doing more of what got them into trouble in the first place.
Allowing misogyny. Shame on you, allowing misogyny. Shame on you. Shame on you, allowing misogyny. That's not the fire alarm, is it?
So let us consider the future. If we mean to boost feminism along the road to extinction, what can any one of us individually do to help out? More precisely, where would any random person now listening to this find his or her point of entry into the counter-feminist project? The answer is that only you can supply the answer. You are on your own. However, that is not so bad as it sounds, because many have walked this road before you. And if you seek them out, or if you seek out the wisdom which they have left on record, you will find much of the guidance you need. But still, you must take the initiative to seek what will sustain you in your quest, and in so doing, you will find your answer and discover your niche in all of this. Consider that we, the pioneers of the community, were given no map, no compass, no pole star, no flashlight, no field manual of any kind. We simply found our way, driven by the imperative to decipher things that made no sense. Your case, in many ways, shall be no different. Ask yourself, why are you here now, listening to this? What brought you to this juncture? The fact is, you have traveled a good way upon your road already, more than you realize. You ought to reflect upon that. Know that you are not alone. You're listening to this right now, and that should give you a clue. But look around, for the times are changing, and a new spirit is abroad upon the earth. Seek the glint of understanding in a glance, the flash of recognition in a phrase, and yes, Read the writing on the wall. Trust me, it's out there, and you will know it when you see it. This statement opened with the provocative idea that feminism poisons women. And prior to concluding, we should touch upon that once again. Truly, the poison of feminism spreads, and given the workings of the social ecology, this will poison women along with everything else. So even if we cannot expect compassion for men and boys to become a cultural norm, we can at least appeal to the socially conservative woman-firsters on their own level of understanding. If the male population is not treated decently, you may depend on it that the outcome for women will be poisonous. That is an ice-cold, logical prediction. There is nothing outlandish or perverse about it. We would have only to fold our arms, sit under a tree, and watch it happen, for happen it will. However, our present purpose is to issue a warning, like a man standing next to a highway, waving a red flag, shouting, "Danger ahead! Turn back! Proceed at your peril!" We wish to avoid the worst for all concerned, and we make this statement because conscience guides us to do so. We call upon others, similarly guided by conscience, to align with the present effort. Very well. Such dark and wild words will not sound dark and wild to everybody. Some, now listening, will directly comprehend what the non-feminist side is transmitting. Others will be on the brink of comprehending, wanting only a few choice hints to make it all light up. Either way, there is a ready public to be reached, and reach we shall. In 3 years, 5 years, 12 years, words like these will settle into place and make perfect sense to a critical mass of people. For now, we preach to the circle of the knowing and work patiently to expand that circle. Looking back across the years, we see that we have been successful in this method. We trust the future to crown our efforts likewise. There's a new game in town, and the game is on. Fiedelbogen. Out, 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 out.